Thank you for joining us. All those are broadcasting, that's watching us on our broadcast. This is the Amplifier Community Connection, where we have some very important guests. Today, we're going to start this thing off a little differently. Um, we're going to we're going to change this thing up. We're going to make sure that we are able to cater to all sides of our wellness. I am Chad Cino Roper, the director of the Amplifier Community Connection Program. And if you are out there in the audience or in, I would say, cyber viral land, make sure if you have any questions anytime during this broadcast that you text the number 414-892-8899. Text all questions to 414-892-8899, and the questions will come right to me. Thank you so much for joining us. This is our second installment of Amplifier Community Connection. In this second installment, we will be talking with none other than Crown World Entertainment's Vincent Searcy. And we're going to be talking about artist management, team building, catalog acquisition. So make sure you guys stick around. But before we get to Cersei, I want to bring up a mental health expert, Dr. Michael Daniels. And she's going to talk to us about how to deal with different things, anxieties, depressions, and things of that nature in dealing with the music business. So first, show some love for Dr. Michael Daniels. Dr. Daniels, how are you?
Hello, I'm pretty good.
Coming in, look, you look awful fly to be a doctor. Now, you a doctor of fashion, or what are you a doctor of? I just want to make sure we got the right doctor up here. No, I'm just messing with you. I saw her credentials, y'all. I'm just playing. How you doing today? Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for
So
having
in this music industry, there are extremely high highs and extremely low lows. So as a professional in this particular area, can you talk to us about what are some points to kind of understand how to deal with the high highs and then go from the high highs to the low lows?
Absolutely. First of all, thank you so much for this platform, because this is how we change the narrative about mental health. This is how we normalize it. This is why I became a mental health professional. For our people, I feel like they needed to hear it from people who look like them.
Absolutely.
To answer your question, though, it is. First off, we gotta let everybody know it's okay. I feel when you become professional, or when you're this idol to like the outside world, we often have like a mask on. We always have to have on this mask. So for us, it's not okay to be sad. We feel like it's not okay to be depressed. We made it. Even me as a therapist, when I have my low lows, it's like, at first it was a shocker to me, because it's like, I went through all this schooling and all this debt. What am I feeling like I don't want to get out the bed for? Like, what's going on? And it was hard for me to admit that, because everyone looked at me like the professional. So to answer your question, how to deal with that, is just know that it's okay to not be okay.
Absolutely.
Just because you have a status, just because you have quote unquote arrived, that doesn't mean that you are not human.
Absolutely.
It doesn't mean that you don't go through life changes. It doesn't mean that you don't experience things from people. So the first thing I would say is just know that it's okay to not be okay. No matter what platform you on, no matter how many awards you won, you're still human underneath the mask. Now, as far as the high highs and the low lows, it happens to us all throughout the day. Just think about it. Like getting up here, it's something that's called a window of tolerance. We all experience this throughout the day.
Break that down.
Gotcha. I was on it. So the window of tolerance is something that we all experience. We have a window of tolerance, literally. So in that window of tolerance, we have some highs, we have some lows. I'm going to give you an example. coming here today, sitting in the audience, I was in my window because I learned how to stay in my window. However, I was at the tip of my window, meaning anxiety. I'm shaking. I'm like, what he gonna ask me? I know it. I'm ready. Let's get with it. But I still had anxiety. It's like what you may experience if you're gonna take a test.
Right.
So that's normal for us to do. The key to that, to stay in your window, is what am I going to do to bring myself back down? I'm going to get up here, I'm going to take my deep breaths, I'm going to smile, and I'm going to answer your questions.
Absolutely.
The issue becomes when we get out of our window. So every day we're up, we're down, we're up, we're down. That's normal. But when we get out of our window, you start seeing things like extreme anxiety, people shaking, people getting upset, people angry, people snapping out, and all of that. That's when you're out of your window. And then the bottom of your window, when you're at the bottom of your window and you're below it, that's when you see the depression. That's when you see can't get out of bed, not really wanting to talk to anyone, not having an appetite, and things like that. So the key to it all is just to stay in your window. Know that you're going to have your highs, you're going to have your lows. That's normal. But when you feel yourself having an anxiety where you're snapping out, and or on the other side, when you're out your window and you're doing behaviors you normally wouldn't do, like promiscuous and things like that, you're out of your window. So the key to that is to learn your own window and do things to prevent yourself.
How do you test what your window is? How do you test what your high is, and what are some signs to figure out you're getting close to your high and you're getting close to your low?
The key to me is to have people around you who genuinely love you. Right. Have people around you who's going to say, like, dog, what's up with you? You've been acting kind of, and pay attention to yourself. No one knows you better than yourself.
Absolutely.
So what you can do to stay, first off, you got to learn yourself. When is those days? Like for me, I know when I'm out my window, when I don't want to get out the bed for more than 2 days, or if somebody says something, I'm irritated, or if I wake up with an attitude, you're out of your window. What's going on? That's when you can learn different techniques like grounding. It's simple. All you have to do is sit up straight and you pay attention to 3 areas.
So let's start. Let's do it. Hold on. We ain't gonna just talk about it. We're gonna try it right now.
We're gonna do it.
I love broadcasting live. We're gonna do it. So let's do it. What we doing?
So let's do it. So the audience, if you could just sit up straight for me, make sure that your feet is flat on the floor. And I want you just to take this moment to just know that you're in the room. I want you to take a deep breath in, let it out slowly. It helps when you close your eyes because it centers you. The whole point of grounding is to bring you to the here and the now. It's to get you out of the trauma world. It's to get you out of your head, to get you out of your anxieties. So what I need you to do is take a deep breath in and let it out slowly. I need you to now feel your feet against the ground. If you have on socks, I need you to feel how the socks feel against your feet. Take another deep breath in. Let it out slowly. Take another deep breath in. Let all the worries go out slowly. Now I need you to feel your back against the chair. Feel how that feels. Now bring your attention to your butt bone. Feel how it feels against the chair. Take another deep breath in. Let it out slowly. Now bring your attention back down to your feet. How does it feel against the ground? Bring it up to your seat bone. How does it feel in the chair? And now your back area. Take another deep breath in and let it out slowly. This time when you take your deep breath in, you're going to let it out slowly, but slowly open your eyes. Take a deep breath in and let it out slowly. What feels different? What feels different for you? You feel lighter? Yeah, that's how it feels. What about you, Chad?
I feel much lighter.
Just like that.
Absolutely.
Even me. How you feel, Queen?
Feel the parts of your body and move away from what you're thinking. So you truly feel every single part of your body. You can feel the floor, you can feel the chair, you can feel the plastic in the chair. So thinking about that to me kind of takes me away from the anxious thoughts.
Absolutely.
Just like that.
Just like that. See, we're going to do this every month. We're going to have this every month because what I want our artists, our songwriters, our producers, our managers, those who tune in to understand is it's not just you. Imagine being an artist that you work a 9 to 5. You work this 9 to 5, you're making $10 an hour. Your hard work is starting to pay off. And you go from making $10 an hour to closing a $2 million deal. You're not used to that kind of money. There's going to be anxiety because that's a high, extremely high, a higher high than you've ever had before. So you have to learn how cope. I brought Dr. Daniels here to understand that we have to have coping mechanisms because you were once that artist starving trying to figure out how you can get it going. Now you have everything at the palm of your hands. That's an extreme difference. Now, in that, I've heard of a term called self-sabotaging, where the anxiety builds up. You're so at a high that you're nervous that you don't think you can handle it. What is a clinical way to deal with self-sabotaging?
A clinical way to deal with self-sabotaging is, a way to deal with self-sabotaging is just asking yourself. Sometimes we don't know where that comes from. We do a lot of negative self-talking. Those are negative cognitions.
Yes.
And some people are used to being in what I call trauma world. So some people are used to being in survival mode all the time. So when something appears so good, they self-sabotage because they're so used to it going wrong. So they'll rather make it wrong before it go wrong because that's what they're normal.
Absolutely.
They're just normal for it to, like, this just too good to be true. So they do things because they're used to operating on that.
Right.
So what people can do, because I'm a person who believe in, okay, you're telling us this, but how to fix it.
Right.
What you have to do is build your positive neural network.
Okay.
So what that is just telling
Stop right
yourself.
there.
Go
The
ahead.
positive neural network. Make
Yes.
sure you get that, ladies and gentlemen. Google it. We're gonna go into detail to what that is, but I want to make sure you understand the terminology. The positive neural network. Continue, my sister.
Absolutely. So the positive neural network does two things. One, it alters. Our brain is literally a muscle. Our brain is a muscle, and I think a lot of people don't realize that. I'll often, let me say this and I'm going to bring it back. I'll often say your mind, look at it like the engine. When we are in a car, we go get oil changes, right? Why? Because we don't want to blow our engine. We don't wait till the engine blow and then go get our oil change. That's what mental health is. You're taking care of your mental. Getting those checkups, just like oil changes, by going to speak to a therapist, it's just like your checkup. Because you don't want to blow that. So when you're building your positive neural network, you're challenging your brain. Every time you say something negative, and it can be something like you getting dressed like us ladies, like, I look so fat right here. Like, correct yourself, challenge your brain, like, no, I still look good. I'm still going to do this. So a way to get away from that self-sabotaging is you have to build your positive neural network by telling yourself things like, I deserve this. I worked my ass off. If nobody deserve it, I deserve it. I deserve to be on this stage right now. I deserve to be breaking the stigma against mental health because that's why I became a therapist. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
You have to literally self-talk to yourself in order to build that positive neural network. So it does that. The other thing that it does is it creates a new narrative. A lot of us are stuck in trauma world and we will self-sabotage because we're used to that. But the more you build your positive neural network, you're changing the narrative on your past traumas that led you to believe you're not good enough. And that can be something from when you was 8 years old, when your mom was never around, your dad was never around. So we tell ourselves these narratives that make us think we're not enough and things like that. So we're used to not being enough, or we're used to not getting the things we want. So we self-sabotage because we think if we self-sabotage, it's not going to hurt us as bad if in the long run it doesn't work out.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you for breaking that down. So make sure you take care of your positive neural network. Is that correct?
Sir, that's
and
it.
that right there is huge because I've watched so many artists as I was producing and songwriting and things of that nature. I've watched so many artists get this high, but they were doing minor things like being late, missing flights. All of these things add up to self-sabotage because now people don't want to deal with you as an artist, songwriter, producer, or what have you because you can't even be on time.
You know what they tell themselves?
What's that?
they weren't gonna deal with me anyway. They was
Right.
gonna figure it out that I wasn't this. It's like the imposter syndrome.
Right.
Like it took me so long to realize I really was a therapist. It took me so long to be like, yes, you can call me Dr. Daniels. Like I am a therapist. I'm gonna take. It's literally like an imposter syndrome. They
Absolutely.
sometimes, and especially if it happened just like that, you was making $10, now you just closed the deal for $2 million.
Right.
It takes a while for their brain to catch up. But the people who's working around them, nothing against them, is like just perform. Go be the therapist. Go be this artist. Go be this rapper. Not knowing like, hold on, it's taking a while for my brains to even catch up.
Absolutely.
So they're thinking like, oh, it was gonna happen anyway. They was gonna think of something. They was gonna come up with something when I was 16 years old, and they was not gonna want me anyway. So who cares if I'm late?
Absolutely. That makes sense. Listen, I can't afford you for a long time because you very expensive. But I got one more question before I let you go, because I know you got things to do and people to see and couches for people to lay on. That's by the way, that's a stereotype. When you go to therapy, you do not lay on a couch. Like the movies teach you that. Because I go to therapy and I sit and have a conversation like I'm doing right now. But that's one of the stigmas, because when we were coming up, it was such a stigma. They would just tell you to put some Jesus on it back in the day. You know what I'm saying? In the black community, that's what we do. Everything was you can go to church to get help, but then you don't get help when you go to church.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
So the last thing I want to talk about is how, as like someone like yourself as a therapist, do you have to go get help because you bring in so much from outside from other people? Do you have to get that stuff up off you as well? Because all the time people think the check on your strong friend thing is that kind of situation. Is that the same for therapists as well?
Absolutely. I can't wait till you finish the sentence so I can respond to that. So it's this thing that's called vicarious trauma. What that is for us therapists,
Say that again?
Vicarious trauma.
Vicarious trauma.
So with vicarious trauma, with mental health professionals, so not just necessarily clinical therapists or counselors, but also like social workers, crisis stabilizers, mentors sometimes, any type of individual that's a professional that deals with some type of mental health patient, a patient that's experiencing like issues with mental health, is called vicarious trauma, meaning you're dealing with other people's trauma, but sometimes you can internalize that. We're human. Remember I said the mind is a muscle. Yep. So if all day I'm listening to people, like literally last night I had to, one of my youth text me and she was like, I'm not having a good day. Like, I know I can't tell you I want to kill myself because you're going to report it, but I'm really struggling. And it was right before I had to go in the meeting. So yes, I have self-care. I have individuals such as even Divine where I'm like, listen, I need somebody to talk to because I'm going through this thing. But I have a therapist. Like, Absolutely. That's my girl. Like, because I'm human at the end of the day. Right. So just even negative energy, that's real. So if somebody's constantly, not saying mental health is something negative, but just think about it in those terms. If some negative is constantly coming into you, trauma, experience this, child molesters, everything you see in the movies, this is real life and you deal with this, and you're feeling like their life depends on you and how you reply to them sometimes, it takes a toll on you. And being a professional therapist, I remember my professor saying, it's not if it's going to happen, it's when it's going to happen. Mm-hmm. Meaning, one of your clients is going to commit suicide. How are you going to deal with that? Right. The way to deal with it is stand in front of it by, one, having my own therapist, having individuals that I'm close with that I can simply be just Mickey, which is my nickname. Mm-hmm. I can just be her. I don't have to be Dr. Daniels. I can simply be myself. That's healing in itself. So to answer your question, absolutely. I see my therapist faithfully once a week where I can just release and just tell her what I'm going through. Not only that, I have a clinician that I see where I can staff my cases and making sure I respond correctly, and that also helps me vent and just get it out. Absolutely. Holding that in, that's not good at all.
Absolutely. Now, if someone out there in TV land, I'm gonna claim we on TV. So someone out there in TV land, by the way, if you have any questions, feel free to text us at 414-892-8899. If you have any questions while you're out there, 414-892-8899. So, what I wanted to say, I'm gonna change course right quick because I'm really enjoying this right now. So, if someone out there needs help, needs a clinician, or needs someone to talk to, do you have a number or somewhere or a web address where they can reach out to you or to your team so that they can get the help that they need?
Absolutely. So my web address, and it's a 10-minute free consultation where I can speak to you, see what is it, some things that you're going through, and then I can guide you because I am individually based, meaning I believe everyone's situation is different. So I like to have like a consultation without charging individuals.
Yes.
My website is Mikel Daniels. That's MICKELL Daniels DANIELS.com, MikelDaniels.com. And you can schedule it right on there. It's a free 10-minute consultation. Everything that I discuss, I don't play with confidentiality. Like me and you can have a conversation and I can walk past you and act like I don't know you unless you say hi to me first. So everything we discuss is confidential. Rapport building is key. So I don't expect for you to just lay it all out, but I do expect for you to just see if you even want me. You might not even like me.
Right.
Because people don't fail to realize that 40% of the outcome of therapy is only based off the rapport you have with your therapist.
Absolutely.
40%, that's right under half, is just off the relationship you have with your therapist. So for me, you can reach out to me. Again, that's Mikel Daniels, MICKELLDANIELS.com. Schedule a 10-minute consultation, and I'll get you right in from me. And I also have staff that can assist you as well.
And mind y'all, she said it's free. We we'll go spend $4,000 on a Louis Vuitton sweater, hoodie, backpack, whatever. We got free help for you right here. It's only 10 minutes, but 10 minutes is better than no minutes.
10 minutes can save your life.
Can save your life. So we have free help right here, right now. Amplifier Community Connection is linking you with Dr. Daniels. She's not a doctor of fashion. She is a therapist. I know she looks fly now, but she is a real life therapist that can help you if you're going through something that you just need to get off your chest. So make sure you take the opportunity that we have presented here for you to reach out to Dr. Daniels. And if she may not be your particular therapist, she might refer you to others. But we just want to make sure that we wanted the music community to have the ability to have access to this. She said it's free. That means you don't need insurance for the first 10 minutes. So take advantage of it. I just got to point these things out because there are a lot of different things that people have these preconceived notions about it and don't get the help because they think it costs. That's like somebody want to be in the stock market, but they think you need $1 million to get in the stock market. All you need is to get a Robinhood account. So you may think you need help to it costs $1 million, or you need insurance to get help. She just said there's free 10 minutes. I'm going to sign up for 10 minutes, and I already got a therapist because I just want to see what it's like. Because I ain't going to tell you to do nothing that I wouldn't do myself. You know what I'm saying? Dr. Daniels, thank you so much for your time. We appreciate you. Y'all show her some love.
Thank you.
Thank you. Our next guest, I'm going to allow y'all to get yourself together. But this is the Amplifier Community Connection. We're right down here in this great city of Milwaukee, Wisconsin, at the 88-9 building, 220 East Pittsburgh Avenue. If you want to come on down, the doors of what they say back in the day, the doors of the church are open. Come on down. We're going to be down here for a while, dropping gems. And we're going to start this thing, going to continue this thing off. I am Chad Roper, by the way, the executive director of the Amplifier program. I got my sister with me, Be Free, who is the associate director of the program. Y'all show Be Free some love. My sister Be Free runs the Grace Weber's Music Lab. I love to plug this because it's the same program as ours, but it's for the youth. So what she does is she catches you at a young age to help you with your production skills, your songwriter skills, your artistry, your branding, your networking. She catches you in the Grace Weber's Music Lab. They have an event once a month. When is the next event?
The next event is actually going to be our open house.
Open house?
May 25th, and it's open to all ages.
May 25th is open to all ages. So right here, 220 East Pittsburgh Avenue. May 25th, open house for the Grace Weber's Music Lab event. Make sure if you know some young people, you bring it out. I'm going to share it on when Be Free posted, I'm going to share it on my page, and it's going to be shared across the 88.9 Radio Milwaukee page, and we're going to share it on the Amplifier page because we family, y'all. This ain't no competition. If I got something going on, Be Free right there rocking with me. If she got something going on, I'm right there rocking with her. So make sure y'all lock in with Be Free and the Grace Weber's Music Lab. Now listen, let's get right to this thing here that we've been waiting for. See, I shocked y'all with this Dr. Daniels thing. Y'all thought it was going to be a fashion of the week thing because she was so fly when she came up, and she looked so good. I wanted to go change. You hear me? She was so fly when she walked in. I texted her, "When you gonna get here?" She said, "Dog, I'm here already. What you think?" I didn't even realize. I'm thinking she gonna come looking real clinicianist. She fooled me. She came in here on some Beyonce, Tiana Taylor vibe. The doctor. You hear me? So listen, I want to bring this gentleman up. This gentleman here, I've known him for, I don't want to say how long because then it's going to make both of us look old, and he older than me, so it's going to make him look older. But when I was a college student, man, there was a friend of mine I went to college with named Richard Butler, and we would drive from Atlanta, Georgia from Tallahassee, Florida to Atlanta, Georgia on the weekends. And there was a real country dude on the other line like, "Man, y'all just come on up here. I got the gas money, man. I got everything to eat. Y'all just come on. I take care of everything." So we'll roll up to Atlanta from Tallahassee, and he'd fill up the gas tank so we can run around Atlanta and go to studios. And then on the way back, he would give us some money to eat, and he would also give us gas money to get back. Now, we thought this man was filthy rich, but what he was just a genuinely good-hearted, good-intentional individual. And this man has done some amazing things in his career. And and mind you, this is a man of few words. So for me to convince this brother to get on a plane to even come here to talk to y'all today is like a miracle. What it shows is the growth that this man has had over the years of dealing with some of the biggest stars, started the careers of some of the biggest songwriters in the world, some of Milwaukee's greats, including myself. He helped me in my career coming up. So I want y'all to show some love, none other than Crown World's Entertainment's own CEO, Vincent Searcy. Y'all show him some love. My brother. So check this out, y'all. Me and Searcy go back years and years and years. So in case you guys didn't know, everybody know Rico Love. That's when I said Richard Butler, I was talking about Rico Love. So me and Rico went to college together, and he used to always talk to me about coming to Atlanta because I would go to Atlanta, but I would go just to party. He would go to work, and he was like, "You got to come to Atlanta to meet my man Cersei," because his name is Vincent Cersei, but everybody call him Cersei. So he's like, "You got to meet my man Cersei." So I would go, and I met Cersei. He was just the most welcoming individual. So, Cersei, talk to us about how did you discover that you wanted to be in the music business in the beginning anyway?
Well, honestly, I never wanted to be in the music business. I was always a basketball player, and my senior year in college, two guys from Milwaukee that was on my basketball team in Texas, William Mathis and Touchane Marks. They was like, "It's some talented guys in Milwaukee, man. I know you're from Atlanta. I know you know a lot of people. You should meet them and see if you can help them." He called both of them. He called Rico Love, and he called a guy named Bree Love. Mm-hmm. They both rapped for me on the phone. They freestyled. Actually, Bree Love was a better rapper, better freestyler than Rico, but Rico just had so much confidence and personality. I was like, this guy seemed like a star. So I told him to meet me in Atlanta that following weekend. This is in the middle of basketball season now. I said, meet me in Atlanta. So I flew from Texas to Atlanta. He came down from FAMU to Atlanta. We met for the first time, hit it off, and it was on from there. So that was my excitement. That's what made me excited about being in the music business, was Rico. Once I met Rico and see how much of a star he was, that's what made me excited about it.
So now, when you met Rico and you saw how much of a star he was, what happened to basketball?
I still played basketball, but of course I had two torn Achilles and a torn meniscus. I was being looked at by Portugal to go play overseas in Portugal after college.
Right.
So I had to make a decision, Portugal or music.
Right.
And I chose music, and I felt like that was the best decision I ever made.
I feel like it too, because y'all listen, I'm sitting up here with this man right now. I need to go home and get some diamonds because it's a diamond shortage. The man got all the diamonds in the world right now. You know what I'm saying? He had to have made the right decision because I don't know if he'd be shining like this with the Portugal, man. So check this out, sirs. So in the beginning of the career, when you first started working with Rico, what was the process that you guys had when it comes to building records? Did you know he was a songwriter, or you just thought he was a rapper?
Well, no, actually, he was just a rapper. He was just a rapper. Songwriting wasn't even a thought at that moment. How songwriting started was we were signed to Usher, and things wasn't moving as fast as we wanted to. So Usher gave him a Just Blaze track. Said, "How about you write to these Just Blaze tracks? This might help your career." Rico wrote a rap song. I was like, "Yeah, that's dope, but you should write a song for Usher." He's like, "Nah, I'm not a writer, and plus Usher won't respect me." So he said, I said, "Well, do it for me." He said, "Okay." He went and wrote a record. So it had him still rapping on it. He rapped the 8-bar and then had Usher sing it, and he go back to rapping and Usher singing. I was like, "Nah, bro, you should write a full R&B song for Usher." He's like, "Bro, I'm not a writer." I said, "Well, just do it for me." He said, "Okay." He ended up writing a full song, and it ended up being throwback for Usher. So that was the beginning of his writing career.
Now that's the art of persuasion. In case y'all didn't understand what Searcy did there, he believed in something. He believed in it so much so that he persuaded someone who didn't do what they thought they couldn't do, that he knew they could do, into doing something that changed both of their lives. Like that's right. Somebody that has that kind of skill is hard to find. That's able to persuade you to believe in yourself when you don't even believe in yourself. A lot of times, those are the individuals that get overlooked, which is why I brought Cersei here today, because he not only did that for Rico, he did it for other artists, as we will find out at his journey. So once Rico wrote that first record for Usher, what was the next steps for you guys at Crown World Entertainment?
The next step was to take writing more serious. Of course, Rico still, his first love is rapping. So, of course, we still continue to make it as a rapper. But also, we started getting calls for writing records. So, after he wrote Throwback, L.A. Reid and Usher was excited about Rico. So, they ended up calling him in for other records. Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis had a record called Seduction. Right. They brought Rico in to co-write that. Mm-hmm. So, Rico actually ended up writing like 3 or 4 records on the Confessions album, which is the #1 selling album of all time.
Right.
So, from that, that built his R&B career, and, it also built his popularity as a rapper.
Right. Right.
So,
that makes sense.
Yes.
That makes sense. So let me just make sure now, mind you, if you got questions for Cersei while I got him here, please text your question to 414-892-8899. It's gonna be in real time. Now, when I decide to ask it is when I decide to ask it. But if you text it, we'll have it. So when it's time to ask Cersei some questions, I will ask them for him. Sir, so now Rick is going as a writer. He's starting to get in. Obviously, if you on the biggest selling album like a Confessions, a diamond selling, probably 20 plus million right now.
Absolutely.
Selling album, right? Yeah, it is. I think I seen the plaque on your wall.
Yes, sir.
So, so now you guys have credibility.
Yes.
Credibility is key in this industry. Mm-hmm. Now, there are a lot of times where people quote unquote ghost write. Now that doesn't occur in R&B, but in rap, people ghost write where they write the lyrics for somebody, but the other person gets the credit. But you guys have this thing we call credibility, which is extremely important in the industry. What are your next steps with him as a writer now that he has credibility as a writer? And mind you, he's managing Rico at this time. I skipped that part, so I apologize. He's Rico's manager at this time.
Well, the next step was just to keep networking and building. Keep in mind, we're both new to this business.
Absolutely.
So neither one of us knew the business, but we learned as we go. We grew together. So, we were just trying anything that we could, networking with different people, doing different sessions, and whatever we could do just to get our name out there.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So now, once you're getting into sessions, things are going. What are you looking at as far as building a team for Crown World, for him or for any other clients that you have? What are some team building dues that you have when it comes to building your team around whatever clients you're dealing with, whether it's a songwriter, an artist, or whatever? What are some go-tos that you look for as a CEO in building a team?
The main thing for me with anything, whether it's an artist or whether it's another executive I'm bringing on the team, is passion. I follow passion. Okay. So if you're super passionate about something, those are the people that I tend to be attracted to. So that's the main thing for me. So it's almost like artists, they look for managers, or they looking for different people to work with, and they say, how do you know if it's a good manager? Well, see, it depends on how passionate they are about you. Sometimes people are chasing a check. That might not be the right manager. Find people that's passionate about your career, your music, and those. So that's for me. That's what I look for, is passion.
Passion. Now, in passion, it seems like, because I've dabbled in the management world myself, and in having passion, are there times where you as the manager care more about the artist's career than they do?
For me, I think it's always that. But sometimes you have artists that's work just as hard as you. So like Rico was a guy that was super passionate about what he do, and was a super hard worker, and he was consistent. So that's what excited me about him.
Right.
Yep,
Okay, so now you also work with artist slash actor Jacob Latimore before,
Yes,
right?
yes.
Right. So now, what did you see in Jacob?
Superstar.
Because he was a little kid.
Yeah.
So what did you see in him that made you say, I gotta,
It's almost the same thing with like Rico, right? So when I first saw Jacob, he was dancing. Rico had said, let's do a party in Milwaukee. We came to Milwaukee, and Rico's on stage, and they brought Jacob out. And all he did was dance. He didn't sing. I didn't know he was a singer. All he did was dance, but I was like, this kid is a superstar. Just from seeing him dance and just his personality, I was like, he's a star. I think that was my gift that God gave me, being able to spot a superstar.
Absolutely.
Because, again, when I met Rico, I met him over the phone. And it was just the way his conversation that he had with me. It wasn't rap, because remember I said Bree Love rap better than him.
Right.
But it was how Rico confidence and his personality what attracted him. So with Jacob, I think he was like 7 years old, and his personality was super huge, and his dancing was amazing. I'm like, this kid's a star.
Got you. So now you're starting to work with Jake at 7, 8 years old. What is your mindset when going from working with a grown man, Rico, to a child? What's your thought process?
Again, I didn't meet Jacob not too long after I met Rico, so probably like a year or two. So again, I still don't fully know the music business as much as I should. But again, I was passionate about it, and I knew I was a hard worker, and I was going to be consistent in whatever I do. So once I met Jacob, the great thing about Jacob is he already had a good team around him and a good support system. His family, his mom was his manager, and she was also in the music business. So it wasn't just me. So she helped me.
Right.
We did it together. We had a real team. So it was me, his mom, and the team that I had, which was Henry and a few other people. So I had a full team around me, people that were smarter than me, to help me and my team and my company grow.
Now, see, y'all, I didn't want y'all to miss that. I don't know if y'all caught what this brother just said. He worked with people that were smarter than him. And the thing was, he knew what his attribute, to the team was consistency. So when other people, and I'm talking as if I don't know this story because I'm talking to my friend, but I was there. So everything he's saying is actual and factual, as TLC said back in the day.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? So I want to make sure y'all understand, y'all didn't miss that. He worked with people that were smarter than him in certain areas. Why? Why is that important? Because the ego was not involved. When you put ego in there, we got a thing that we say, you edge God out, which means you edge your blessings out at the same time. Or whatever you believe in, I just happen to believe in God. So you edge your higher power, if you don't believe in God, out. So you have to make sure the ego does not become your enemy when it's time to make the next steps, because you never know who's going to bless you at what point. So now we're working with Jacob. We're working with Jake. He's getting older. Jacob gets a deal. Gets a deal at Jive.
Yes, it was Jive Records at the time.
Jive Records at the time. So now, all the hard work is starting to pay off with Jake. Now, from the beginning of working with Rico, because I like to keep stuff real, because I want people on the other side to understand this thing is just not all glitz and glam. You know what I'm saying? There were some hardships. So I want to dig into some hardships. So from working with Rico and to working with Jacob, going through to when Jacob got his deal, were there hardships that you faced?
Absolutely, there's always hardships. So for me, again, I said some things that I mentioned was about passion. I was always passionate about everything, so which means I'm going to do whatever it takes. I'm going to spend all my money, all my time, and go hard to break an artist and do what it is to make the artist happen.
Absolutely.
And we spent a lot of time and money on trying to make these artists work, like taking trips back and forth. And when we traveled, we didn't just travel, me and artists, we traveled 10, 12 people at a time. So,
right.
Some of the hardships was we got to points where we was dead broke.
Yep.
We even got to the point where we had to come stay with you. So, those are some of the hardships, just like going hard, doing what we have to do. We did make a lot of bad decisions, again, because
we were learning.
We was learning as we go. Didn't fully know the business, so we spent a lot of money in places we shouldn't have spent money, right. But all that was a learning experience. Now,
let's go there, because artists do this all the time today. People spend money for different people to do things for them. What are they called? Consultants. They get different consultants. Yeah. They got a consultant to do this and a consultant to do that. But the consultant ain't even legitimate in the thing they're getting a consultant fee for.
Yes.
So let's talk about some of those faulty consultants, if we will. What are some of the consulting things or or people that you paid that didn't? We're not gonna say their names, but what are some areas that you spent money in that you don't think you should have spent money in? You could have spent it somewhere else.
Well,
Like this example.
we spent money in marketing. We spent money on PR. We spent money in a lot of different places that we didn't get the results that we should have.
Absolutely.
Should have got.
So, what is a time frame? If let's say if I hire a PR, what is a time frame I should be getting a return on my investment or seeing movement with my PR? Let's use that example.
Well, first, I feel like an artist should get his buzz going on its own organically before you even hire a PR.
So we need the buzz first.
Yes, let's get something going. Let's get something going before we even think about spending money on the PR first.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, they can't do nothing if you're not doing that for yourself yet. So
Absolutely.
you got to get them something to work. And that's the problem. A lot of people pay these publicists and feel like they didn't get the results they want. It's just because they ain't got nothing to work with. You got to give them something to work with.
You gotta give them something to work with. Absolutely. Now, let's say on marketing. So now we got something to work with. We get a PR. Is the PR the same as the marketer, or that's two different things? I'm asking for them.
It's two different things.
Okay.
And what I will say, again, before you even get to PR, like you should. The most important thing for me, I feel like an artist should do is focus on a digital marketing person. Find you the right digital marketing person.
Right.
To help build your socials, help
Absolutely.
build everything, and help build your algorithms on the DSPs.
Right. So basically nowadays it's transition. So back in the day when we was coming up, we were trying to get in magazines. We were trying to get in different things like hard copy things. Now everything is digital. So I heard someone say, I don't know if it was like Steve Stout or something, but you need like a digital marketing expert or something like that. Somebody who does everything for you social media wise, where
Absolutely.
they run your social media as if they were a big conglomerate. Does that make
Absolutely.
sense?
Absolutely.
So you need someone to be on your social media going heavy, because one thing about algorithms, they change every 2-3 months.
Yeah.
And you got to stay on top of the change. And if you're not abreast to that type of thing, you got to have somebody who's on point with it at all times.
Absolutely.
And that's how some of the artists who are independent look at if they're not independent, because they have a hell of a digital marketing team. Is that correct, sir?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. So now, in today's world, well, no, let's stick back to Jake. What was the transition when you were working with him from music to TV and film?
Well, I think it's similar to like an Rico's situation. Remember, the rap career wasn't moving as fast as we wanted to.
Right.
So I said, let's try writing. And we tried writing and it worked. So with Jacob, we had a deal, but things wasn't moving as fast as we wanted to. We was always getting some buzz. We was getting buzz and building momentum, but it wasn't moving as fast as we wanted to. So again, we tried something different, which was the TV and film side, and it was the best move again for him.
Right. So
Yep.
now with the TV and film side, did you just jump out the window and say, let's do TV and film, or did you get like an agent? Like, what was the process to getting in that situation?
Well,
what did you guys do?
So from the beginning, like again, for me, again, I didn't fully know the business, so I tried everything entertainment. So, for me, it wasn't just about music; it was about everything. So we created our own commercials, we created our own TV shows, we created a mock magazine. We tried everything.
Mm-hmm.
So when we used to go to labels, they were just like, yeah, that's cool, but that's too much, because we had everything. They was like, let's focus on music, but we didn't just focus on music. We focused on everything entertainment. And then fast forward, a thing came out which was called the 360 deal,
Yep.
which consists of everything entertainment.
Right.
But we was always doing it, but we was like a little ahead of the curve. So with us, we were just trying anything. We knew Jacob was a star, so why just focus on music? Let's do TV and films, let's do modeling, let's do whatever.
Right.
And he was just great at everything, and the TV and film side took off.
Absolutely. So I remember him having to go to an agency back in the day,
Yes.
all the time to do, like, I don't know if it was for acting work or I'm not familiar with the agency side, but he ended up going to an agent.
Yep.
And that agent was a part of the team to help get him pitched to movies in TV or get him auditions.
Auditions.
Okay.
Get them auditions, yes.
So you get an agent to get auditions.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I want to get. That was the point I was trying to make. The manager didn't get the auditions. That wasn't the manager or the management team's job or the company's job. The company's job was to, again, find someone. I'm beating this point in for a reason. Letting go of the ego, finding someone that is good in that particular area and bringing them in to work that area of expertise. Again, ego is not involved. If you have any questions for us, the number is 414-892-8899. Send them in. We'll ask them. So understand the concept of making sure that ego is not around, because when you have ego, you begin to mess up the process of elevation. So now we got Jacob an agent. Jacob is moving, starting to act, starting to take auditions. What's the first thing he land? Do you remember?
The first thing was a movie called Vanishing on 7th Street.
Yep.
That was the very first movie. And the very first movie, I think the very first TV show was a show called One Tree Hill.
One Tree Hill.
Yep.
I remember that. One Tree Hill. Got you. So we got a question for you, sir.
Okay.
Let's go to this question right quick, because I asked 100,000 questions. Okay, the question says, from TV land, how does an independent artist get a digital marketing team?
I think it's like with anything, you got to do your research and do a background check on people, because there's a lot of people that say they do digital marketing. There's a lot of people say they do whatever, but you got to, it's like when you go apply for a job, they do a background check on you. So you got to do a background check on when people, even before you get them your money.
Absolutely.
And look at results. So it's like a person can't tell me how to do something if you ain't doing it for yourself.
Absolutely. It's
So-
like me being a barber with no clippers.
Right.
Or I'm a bald head barber, which I think I'm bald head barber, so I'm just making an idea. So I'm a bald head barber with no clippers. So I probably don't cut hair well because I probably mess my own head up. And I ain't got clippers. So how can I tell you how to cut your hair? Or I am a real estate agent with no license. What am I really selling? You know what I'm saying? Now, I ain't saying you can't do it, because you can do other types of ways of being in the real estate business, but am I a real estate agent if I don't have a license? So I actually like this. You have heart problems. You have to have open heart surgery. Are you going to go to an ear, nose, and throat specialist to have open heart surgery? It just doesn't make sense. You got to research that. The same thing applies when you're in this music industry. You can't give people your money and they're not validated in that area. So make sure you do your research on these people. Research me. Research Cersei. You're going to see we pop up. That we just not up here selling wolf tickets. We got credentials behind what we talking about. Yep. We've been through the storm and rain. That's why neither one of us got hair. We used to have waves. I had a 360 back in the day.
I had a box.
See what I'm saying? The stress of the music industry, it's over with. We gone.
Yeah. Another thing I want to add to that question is, and I said do your research, but they might say, well, how do I start the research?
Yes.
So look at an independent artist that's successful and figure out who they use.
Right.
Like, so you got artists that's doing good independent, like Money Long, right?
Yeah.
She started off independent and blew up, right, with the Hours and Hours record. Do research and find out who did the digital marketing for her.
Right.
And that's the person that you probably might need to reach out to.
Absolutely. Did y'all catch that? Make sure you do your research off of people that are already out. That's important. We happen to know the people that did the digital marketing for her. So if you want that information, make sure you reach out to us. The number is 414 for questions, 414-892-8899. All right, so now Jacob is starting to get movie roles and film. At this point in your career, what are you thinking now that your artist Rico is writing hits for everybody? Jacob is doing his thing. He in movies with Will Smith and I forgot the lady's name. It was a movie that they were all in together. But big stars.
Angela Bassett, Jennifer Hudson.
Everybody. See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Now, what's your thought process as the one who helped these individuals, get them a push to go where they're going? What's your thought process now?
My thought process was to maximize on what Rico was doing, maximize on what Jacob was doing, and then also try to duplicate that and do it with the new artist, the next artist.
Got you. Now, in that, and working with Rico and Jacob and all them, you used to manage a writing team called the Knack.
Yes, sir.
Right? And these were 3 songwriters, were individual writers, producers, engineers, vocal producers, or whatever. 2 was from Milwaukee.
Yes.
And 1 was from Kentucky.
Kentucky.
Right.
Yep.
So the one from Kentucky name was Tyon Christian Mack.
TC.
We call him TC.
Yes, sir.
Another one name was Lachey Martin. Tony.
Yes.
She got married, so
yes.
we got to throw the Tony on there.
Yep.
We can't disrespect Big Rich.
You're right.
Right. And then another guy name was Chad. I think his name was C-Note Roper.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, he was that guy was a genius. I don't know if y'all heard this Chad C-Note Roper dude, but this dude was a genius. He still is today. I don't know. He kind of looked like me too. Yeah. So when you working with this writing team, how do you juggle 3 personalities? One personality is strong. That's that Chad guy I was talking about. Yep. Big mouth, always aggressive. Then we got another one who's kind of like a laid back, which is the TC guy. Very talented, melodic genius.
Yes.
Then you got this other girl, this other woman who's a hustler of all hustlers who will write songs but will be doing hair at the same time. So by Lachey, they just all different. How do you deal with 3 different personalities?
I think the main thing was, like you said earlier, no ego was involved with me. Right? So it's just like I believed in the group and I listened to the group. So, I listened to the group on their opinions and what they want to do, and my job was to help build on what they wanted to do.
Absolutely.
So I think that was the main thing.
Right.
Being a people's person and having no ego.
Absolutely. Now, you helped this group get their first placement. The group wrote a song with a producer named Sounds, who's originally from Milwaukee as well.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Kenneth Kobe. Well, he go by BMW Kenny.
BMW Kenny.
Yeah. So they wrote a song called Acapella Something Is Missing. For Brandy. But originally, that situation had to get ushered in. Now, we didn't know the people to usher in. You met those people along the way while working with Jacob, which shows the retention of building relationships, the importance, I should say, of building relationship building. So I forgot the gentleman's name that you sent the song to. We recorded the song on a Sunday, and you sent it to, I forgot the guy's name, man, the A&R. But whoever the A&R name was at the time, you sent it to him on Sunday. We sent the record to LaShawn Daniels, the late, great LaShawn Daniels, to get recorded Thursday or something like that. Now, that came because of the relationship you had. The record, the record was fire too, by the way. He could have sent it, if the record was garbage, it would have never happened. So we had to give him something to sell. Like he said prior, the record was just that dope. Later on, we ended up writing a song for an artist by the name of Leona Lewis, who was like she was from London, but she was like a pop type artist. Mm-hmm. And Jacob's A&R, DJ Wayne Williams, we gave you the record and said, this song is for Leona Lewis. So Cersei's like, I don't know, I think there's a couple places it can go, but we so adamant about her because at the time she was getting ready to do this big record with Pop and Oak. Yeah. So you remember that, and you was like, hold on y'all just hold on a minute, let me see what I can do. Now this was like the weekend, like a Friday or Saturday. We get a record to Cersei. Cersei sends it to Wayne Williams. Yep. Wayne Williams calls Cersei back and says what? Backstreet Boys. We wrote a record for a woman, gave it to Cersei for this woman who was under the same label. Cersei sends it to Wayne. Wayne said, "No, dog, this record could go for the Backstreet Boys." Now, mind you, we not Backstreet Boys fans. We like grown people. You know what I'm saying? We're not like teenage girls. You know what I'm saying? But one thing about the Backstreet Boys, and we arguing with Cersei, like, "No, man, why would we do that? That don't make sense." Cersei's like, "Are y'all crazy? Y'all know how many records they sold? They sold over 200 million records. Why wouldn't you go do it?" Now he has to convince us to go get some money. That's your job as a manager, to be able to be convincing. Remember I was telling you about the art of persuasion? He persuaded us. That was a Saturday. On Tuesday, we was in LA with the Backstreet Boys. Yes. Having a ball.
Absolutely.
Could not believe what we was doing. All because of relationship retention, no ego, and the ability to have the art of persuasion. This all comes when you're building a team. Absolutely. Which is what I'm leading. I'm telling it this way so that you can catch where we're going with this. If you have questions, again, 414-892-8899. So now, we do the Backstreet Boys record. Everything comes out. There are issues in the Backstreet Boys record. I got to tell the whole story. We're not going to tell half the story. The record gets placed. There's issues. They want to change the producers out of the record. I'm a very loyal guy. Loyal to the fault. We should have let them change the producers once we got later on down the line of life. But because we were loyal, we fought to keep the producers there. One of the producers was an amazing guy, DJ Camper. One of the other producers, not so much so. But we were trying to be loyal. So we had to have a meeting about if we were going to take the record from the Backstreet Boys. We weren't doing that, by the way. Or how were we going to position ourselves so that everybody that was a part of the song could eat. It was 5 of us that was a part of that record. And I remember having a conversation with you in my living room about this. And your main Do you remember what you said to me?
I don't.
Dog, your main, his main thing was, we got to get the record placed. We got to figure out how to make the business work. This is not anything personal. We have to find out how do we need to make the business work. So what we agreed to, which I thought was genius, which was what he came up with, was to let the producers who originally produced the song keep their publishing, but pay the production fee to the new producers.
Yeah.
So what we did was we paid them for their work, but the people who were the original publishers of the song retained the publishing. If you know how hard this is, how much of a juggle this is, you would really commend this man for even thinking of something like that. And then you would have to commend us for not having an ego and wanting the money, because we made some nice money after the song came out. You know what I'm saying? Now, Cersei, when it comes to situations like that, what makes you step outside of the situation and deal with the actual business? What part of you does that?
I think I wasn't looking at the music business or business. It's just my background, how I was raised, right? So again, my upbringing and me growing up in the streets, I think different than the music business people. A music guy wouldn't have thought to do that, right? So I didn't know the business fully. I just figured how I would handle the situation in the street, and that's why I just thought of some creatively that would work. It probably didn't make sense for the business side, but it ended up working out for everybody else.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Absolutely. So now, being able to adapt on the fly is a key element of being. Now, mind you, this is a CEO I'm talking to. I'm not talking to like he a manager for about. This is a CEO. He's been running this company for how many years now, sir?
20.
20 years. You know what I'm saying? Some people ain't even 20 years old watching this. So it's been before you was born. He been running his company. You understand what I'm saying? So now we get later on. We continue our walk. You helped everybody get where they want to go. Rico blow up. TC blow up as a songwriter. You get him a pub deal over at Sony ATV with Walter Jones. Yes. I'm doing my thing with Big Sound over here. Me and Shay doing our thing. Now, Jacob is superstar. We see him. He got mustache, goatee now. You know, we don't even recognize him. He like, what up? What's cracking with y'all? You know what I'm saying? Before he was like, man, what's cracking? You know what I'm saying? So he's a grown man doing his thing. Now, what is your thought process? You helped everybody get where they're going. What is your thought process now as a CEO of how do you continue to do business in this business? What's your next move after you send basically everybody graduate? You send everybody on their way. What's your next move next?
At that time was, again, to duplicate what I was able to do in the beginning.
Right. So now who do you pick up? Who do you start managing? Because you end up managing one name we can't say, but a lot of names you manage, like the K Michelle's.
Yes.
Somebody else we don't want to mention, but you help them in their career. Harmony Samuels as a producer.
Yep. I think I got to a point where I wanted to try something different. I've done the music side my whole career.
Right.
Let me step on the other side. So what I was doing, I started consulting for a couple of people, and then I got into the catalog acquisitions, which is something different for our community.
Absolutely.
So I said, let me try something different. Let me find a lane where a lot of people, it's not cluttered. Let me go try something different. Let me go left field. So I stepped into catalog acquisition, which a mentor of mine, which was my partner with Jacob Latimore, a guy named Jerry McGaffin, rest in peace. He taught me the business. He showed me everything. Every call he had with the business manager, with the lawyers, with everybody, he allowed me to be a part of those calls. So I learned that side of the game.
The catalog acquisition
side.
Okay, so now we're going to dive into that. But before we dive into that, we got a question from the people. We got a couple questions for the people.
Okay.
This one question says, so many artists want to help friends and hire them even though they're not qualified to help in their career. What are your thoughts about hiring friends for PR, marketing / consulting?
At the end of the day, everything for me is about results. Right. So, you know, it's cool to hire friends, but they still got to be qualified to do what they say they can do.
Gotcha.
At the end of the day, you got to be qualified to do the job.
Absolutely. Friends, family don't matter.
And if you're not qualified in this space, I might need to bring you on as something else. So we'll figure out something. But if I need a digital marketing person, I need somebody that's qualified as a digital marketer. If I need a publicist, I need somebody that's qualified as that. It's my friend. You can help me with something else. Go find me an artist. Go bring me an artist. Go do something different. But you can't be my digital marketing. You can't be my PR. You can't be my manager if you're not qualified at that.
Absolutely. And what you don't want, artists, songwriters, or producers. You do not want an unorganized manager. That's the worst thing to have. The unorganized manager is going to mess up at some point in a big way for you. You got to
Absolutely.
make sure your manager is a very organized individual. So please take note of that. Another question I have: I'm a part of a duo, and I feel when we have the best I feel that we have the best reggaeton album to be released in the last 5 years by a reggaeton duo, and we don't know how to get it in the right hands, even what steps to take to reach those people, especially being a Milwaukee Spanish genre is a little harder here in Milwaukee. Do we have to move to make it?
No, and you shouldn't have to try to reach these people. They should be reaching you. So you need to do what you need to do on your own and build your buzz up yourself, where they come looking for you, not you looking for them.
Right.
So if you call in a label every day, they're not excited about signing you,
Right.
whether they're your friend or not. But if you got a buzz going, you want them to call you. That's how you get leverage. That's how you get a more favorable deal.
Absolutely. So make sure what he's talking about is the art of leverage. In any deal you do, you have to have leverage. Because if I got all the power and all the leverage is on my end, the deal is more than likely going to go my way. So make sure you understand the art of leverage is what he's speaking of. You want people to want to work with you. You don't want to be so hard up where you want to work with everybody, and then when it's time to, because what it's going to do is going to cut into your money. So the art of leverage is important.
Yes, I'll give you another example. After I signed Jacob, right, my name was buzzing a little bit from Rico and Jacob and K. Michelle. So it got to a point where I was able to get deals off of people believing in me and relationship. But I used to always tell clients, that's not a good thing, because you want them to believe in you, not doing it because they believe in me.
Right.
Like, and we've done a deal where the label believed in me and not necessarily the artist, and the artist just said, and that's
Right.
it, they never came out. So, you know, that's why you got to build your buzz up and build your momentum up as an artist yourself.
Absolutely. So what you got to make sure that the leverage is on you, not on just your team, and that's key, because ain't nothing like sitting on the shelf. You think you made it, and you don't get the opportunity to show the world what you're made of. So, do you think that Spanish artist duo have to move to get known, or they just need to better themselves as a duo?
No, they just need to work harder and stay consistent. They don't have to move. You can make it anywhere. You see artists blowing up all the time, and Nelly blew up from St. Louis. He didn't come to Atlanta and New York. He blew up in St. Louis.
Right.
So Rico didn't blow up. It happened for him in Atlanta, but it could have happened while he was still living in Milwaukee. You know what I'm saying? So it don't matter where you at. It's about you and your movement and having the right team and trusting the process.
Absolutely. And one thing about it, if you want something, you'll go. I used to be a high school teacher. I would get on the plane every weekend and come to Atlanta.
Yeah.
I still lived in Milwaukee, but I would get on the plane. I would have on a shirt and tie. Starts to pick me up. I got on a shirt and tie from leaving class because I was a teacher. Like, I was trying to get to the real money. I was making $27,500 a year. That's peanuts.
Right.
That's bills now. You know what I'm saying? So you got to make sure you get out there and hustle. I got another question for you from the TV land. Appreciate y'all. Keep them coming. 414-892-8899. I'm an artist trying to figure out which route to take to progress my career. Is now a good time to hire a manager to help me help redirect me? If not, when is the right time to hire a manager?
I don't think you should have a manager unless you got something to manage.
There you
That's
go.
just my belief.
I agree.
Like, what is he managing? Like, you got to figure out who you are as an artist, what your brand is, what you're selling. You need to figure that out.
Absolutely.
Like, it got to be organic. Fans are not stupid. They know when something real and something is fake. So you got to figure out what your brand is and what you're selling. A person shouldn't tell you, oh, you should do this, you should do that, because the fans going to realize, yeah, that ain't real. That ain't
Right.
organic. So you got to figure that out. And then once you figure that out and get things going, then you can bring in a manager to help you to take care of everything else.
Absolutely. So make sure you get an artist, because a lot of times artists complain about managers, but they have nothing to manage.
Right.
You don't post on social media. You don't record consistently. You don't have a catalog of songs. You barely get your songs mixed and mastered, but you want the manager to turn water into wine. His name is not Jesus or Jesus. He or she is a manager. So make sure you give your manager something to manage. That's key.
Yes.
That's key. All right, sirs. So now we changing gears into catalog acquisitions.
Yes.
Catalog acquisitions is what?
So look at it like this: the writers or the artists that we love from back in the day, they had big records: the Marvin Gaye's, the Lionel Richie's, the Smoke Around, the New Editions, the Michael Jackson, people like that. They had old catalogs, so they still making money every quarter or biannually from their publishing their PROs, right?
Right.
It can be
PRO means
performance rights organizations, so like ASCAP, BMI, and CSAC.
absolutely.
So they have a catalog, a back catalog,
Yes.
right? So which earns money for them every year, whether they put out new records or not. The thing is, the catalogs don't go up every year; it goes down.
Right.
Right. Unless you get a big sync. So
And a big sync is I'm breaking it down because people don't know.
big
We know
sync.
this language.
A sync is when you're getting a song in a commercial, in a TV show, or a movie, or something like that, and it puts a spike on your catalog and the record, and the earnings go up.
Absolutely.
So pretty much people are selling their back catalog.
Right.
It has nothing to do with the new records. It's only the back catalog, the records that came out and earning money.
Gotcha.
So that's what the back catalog is. So I'm in the catalog acquisition space, helping these people sell their catalog. They may need, and the misconception is people sell their catalog when they broke. That's not true.
Right.
You sell your catalog because you might have something that you might want to start a real estate company. You might want to build a studio. So you have things that you need funds for that you need the funds. So people sell their back catalog for that.
So when you sell your back catalog, do you sell 100% of it or a percentage of it?
You can sell whatever you want to sell. You can sell 100%, 75%, 50%. You can sell on your publishing side. You can sell on your PRO writer side.
Right. So you can do it. It's different ways to do these
However
deals.
you want to do it.
Absolutely. So now, when you do these acquisitions and you sell it, how long is it sold for?
It's sold for the life. So, but the difference is, a lot of times when I talk to people again, everybody was like, "No, I'm not gonna sell my catalog because this is my legacy, and I want to leave it for my kids." Well, that's because people are uneducated and don't know the law, right?
Right.
So a law overrides any contract that you sign. You can sign a contract that say lifetime, perpetuity, whatever it is. It don't matter what your publishing deal say because it's a U.S. law. The 35-year copyright reversion, meaning in 35 years, your catalog come back to you. And 90% of the people don't know that, right?
Right.
So once I explained to them that, they went and verified with their attorney, and they told them to, and that's how I was able to get a lot of people to sell the catalog.
Absolutely.
Because it comes back to, so it's almost like you leasing your catalog.
Right.
But this is your publishing side. The writer side is gone, but your publishing side come back to you in 35 years. But the flip side of it is almost like, say for instance, you sign the ASCAP and your term is over, right? You can renew that next year, but you got to send the letter in within that 1 month
window.
period.
Right.
So same thing with the copyright reversion. You got to send the letter in within that period. If you don't, guess what they do? Rolls over.
Right.
So, and that's the thing that people know. They're just uneducated. Right. So, that's my job to educate people on how this works, and that's how I'm able to have a lot of success in it because I'm educating them on things they didn't know. And these are the A-list writers and producers that don't know that.
Right. So now, let's say you're an independent artist, and you got a decent. Brent Fayez is an independent artist.
Yes.
There are artists that have great catalog on deck that could possibly later on down the line participate in something like this.
Yeah, he's earning more than 80% of the signed big name artists that you know.
A month.
Yes, period.
Oh, period. Okay.
Yeah, period.
Yeah. So this can be done as an independent artist.
Absolutely.
Right. So independent artists out there in TV land watching this right now, this could be you. You have access to this. This is something that we don't talk about, especially in our community, because we don't know nothing about it. That's why I brought Cersei here, because I wanted to really touch on this, because this is huge. This thing here changes lives. Imagine starting a trucking company because you were able to do a catalog acquisition, and now your trucking company, you got you a couple $1,000,000, and now your trucking company is making $50,000 a month for life, because trucks are not stopping, ladies and gentlemen. You see, there's a shortage right now today in the supply chain. The supply chain includes trucks. Yes. So now you can take money and invest into something else. So what we're trying to do is show you. We introduced the mental health piece with Dr. Daniels. We're introducing the entertainment piece with Dr. Cersei. He's an honorary doctor in my eyes. He helped me make a lot of money, so he's an honorary doctor to him today. So y'all can show him some love for being an honorary doctor. There with Dr. Cersei. Right? But now, we also, Cersei and I, are sitting up here showing you a financial literacy piece in this business where you can continue to take your intellectual property, which is something that you came up with, and you're making money off of, now you're taking it and you're able to pull from that intellectual property and then making an investment if you do it the right way, meaning owning your material.
Yeah.
Let's talk about ownership while we touching that right now.
Okay.
If you got any questions, 414-892-8899. When artists do deals, and I spoke with Cersei about this when I was doing a deal with an artist. There's an ancillary piece. You spoke about it before. The ancillary piece is the 360 piece of your deal, artist.
Yep.
So there's an ancillary piece in your deal. What is a good range, you think, percentage-wise, for the ancillary piece? The 360.
For a person to commission the client on?
Yes, sir.
10% to 20%.
10 to 20%, no more than 20%, correct?
I wouldn't recommend that, but there's some people that does do it. But I
Right.
wouldn't do it. I say 10 to 20% is fair.
It's fair.
Yes.
Got you. And that's because of the effort that they're putting in on their side, correct?
Absolutely.
Right. So they deserve to get paid for.
Absolutely.
They get paid for the work that they put in. Now, as far as the master side, there's a lot of talk about you own your master this, own your master. That's a big thing nowadays. What makes sense when it comes to the ownership of your masters? Let's break down owning your masters as opposed to not owning your masters. If you own your masters, what are you responsible for as an artist?
You're responsible for everything if you own it. But I would say the flip side is, we're trained to always own your masters. But if you don't know what to do with it, then what difference does it make? There's a lot of people that own their masters and it's not making no money.
Right.
So sometimes you might need some help or a boost, and you might need to get with a machine. So,
Right.
Some artists need that machine behind them.
Absolutely, because they're not going to work hard to get it
Absolutely.
off themselves.
Absolutely.
Right.
So, it's a great thing to own your masters, but if you feel like you need some help, then take the help. And
Absolutely.
Take a deal.
Right.
So,
And in the ownership of the master, what does the label get for that? For having some ownership in your master? What do they give you? What do they give the artist, I should say, for that?
well, it varies. Some deals vary. You can get a 12 to 20% royalty rate, and some be more favorable. It depends on the leverage that you come in with.
Absolutely.
It's all about the leverage.
All about leverage, which is what we spoke about earlier.
Yes.
Now, in having leverage and coming in with leverage, when you do a deal with a label, what should you be looking for as their responsibility when it comes to marketing, branding, merchandising, and things of that nature? What is something, now, because every deal is different, but what is something good to look for in that area?
Well, first for me, like I said earlier, everything is about passion, right?
Right.
So, I look at a major label or independent distributor the same. Who is going to be the right partner for me? And it's going to be about who's most passionate about me as an artist and the music that I do, right? Because sometimes people be dope artists and then they go sign a deal, and the artist and their team and the A&R team at the label have different visions. They feel like you should be doing this, and your brand is that. And y'all clash and bump heads. You either don't come out or you're going to give in and do what they want to do, and it's not the right thing, and your fan base ain't buying into it.
Right.
So for me, I would say passion, someone who really believes in me as an artist or
Right.
believe in the team.
Right.
That's the first thing. And then you just got to figure out who makes sense for the type of artist you are. When we did our deal with Jacob, we had a lot of labels coming. We had a real bidding war. But we felt like Jive made the most sense for Jacob because Jacob was a superstar. He was a singer and a dancer. At the time, Jive had Usher and Chris Brown, which was similar to what Jacob do. So they understood what to do with that type of artist. So
Right.
that made sense for us.
Right.
Even though they had a different vision once we got there, but that made sense for us. So I would say that, look at the label that you're signing to, because everybody not a great fit.
Right. Right. Because everybody want to be on a popping label.
Yeah.
Back in the day, all of us want to be on Bad Boy.
Yeah.
We couldn't rap or nothing.
Yeah.
Everybody wanted to
Right.
told you that we won't stop and all that type of stuff.
So you got to find somebody that believe in you and just the right fit for you.
Absolutely. That makes sense. So make sure you understand the concept of, it goes back to the research. Make sure that it's in line with what you are as an artist. Or when you sign let's go to songwriter. When you sign a publishing deal, what are you looking for? as a
Same
songwriter?
thing, passion. The person that signed you, do they really believe in your type of range style? How many people they got that are similar to you? Because when you think about Sony and Universal, they got 1,000 songwriters. I mean, 1,000 people signed to them. But most of these publishing companies are heavy producer driven, and then they need a lot of top liners. So find the one that don't have a lot of people that specialize in what you do. Right?
Absolutely. Right. That
So I
makes
look at it
sense.
from that angle.
Right.
A lot of people, the problem is people, when they look at publishing deals and artist deal, they only care about who getting the most money. you can get all this money and then don't get the real push that you need because this person really didn't believe you. They just bought into the hype and they gave you all this money, but they don't believe you and don't get you.
I agree with that. I watched the interview the other day with Damon Thomas from the Underdog. Remember we worked with Underdogs?
Absolutely.
So he told a story of how he had a publishing company that wanted to give him over $500,000 to sign. First thing everybody said, sign a deal, right? But then he talked about how Babyface wanted to sign him. And Babyface said, I can't give you the money they give you. But the opportunities and the knowledge I'm gonna give you, you're gonna be able to make way more than that. So instead of taking a big check, he worked with Babyface. Yep. And we know by him working with Babyface, he was able to join forces later on with Harvey Mason to join the Underdogs. And I mean, I remember one year we was watching. The Connect was patterning ourselves after them.
They did 100 placements in a year.
100 We could not believe when we saw that. They did 100 placements. If y'all back in the day, if you know how hard that was, if the underdog was on your project and you had 10 songs, they did 8.
Yeah.
It was 2 slots left. That's literally how they was doing.
Yeah, but what you just said was he chose to follow somebody that the passion and that believed in him.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That was the purpose of me telling that story.
Yeah.
He went to the passion and believing over the money because he would have blew to that 500. That 500 ain't nothing. But now he got residual for life because he chose the right path. And the things that he learned, money couldn't buy. Because the people who gave him the check couldn't teach him what Babyface taught him. Why? Because Babyface did it over and over and over. Whether it was Whitney Houston or Boyz II Men.
Yep.
Whether it was Tony Braxton or whoever else. He did it over and over and over again. The people that was writing them checks probably never did it.
Facts.
So make sure you follow the passion and not just the paycheck. But you also want to make your passion your paycheck. Don't get it twisted.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? So don't get it twisted now. Make sure you make your passion your paycheck. Because when you do that, you do not work. I'm up here right now. I'm having fun. I'm at work. Do it look like I'm working to you? I'm not working. I'm enjoying what I do because I'm making my passion. You don't understand what I'm saying?
Facts.
Okay, to wrap this thing up, sirs, if someone was interested in learning about catalog acquisitions, where would they start?
Honestly, how I started was a mentor because there's no books out there that teach you catalog acquisition.
Right.
Honestly, if you think about the catalog acquisition space, it's probably 2 or 3 black people doing it, period, in the whole industry.
And we got one of them, y'all. Just in case y'all didn't know, this is a black man. In case y'all didn't realize, we got one of them. Yeah.
So that's why I was saying I went left field when I started catalog acquisition. There's not a lot of us doing this business because we don't understand it.
Right.
So, I went and found my niche, and that's why I'm having a lot of success. It's not cluttered, and, I'm able to educate people on the business. So I'm offering education and I'm offering a service.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And that's key. In anything you do, if you can offer something that people use every day, you will continue to eat for the rest of your life. People listen to music every single day. Songs play on DSPs and on radio stations and on television and on TV and film every single day. What he's doing is offering a service that services those type of fields. So make sure when you begin to pivot and grow that you make it in areas where it is services that are needed. This brother started as a basketball player, went from being a basketball player to a manager, went from being a manager to a motivational coach to all the clients that he had, went from being a motivational coach to all the clients he had to being a coach of a team, Crown World Entertainment, went from being a coach of a team to an acquisition master where he teaches. I've seen him do deals with people. Sirs, I don't want a real number, but would you say you've done over $5 million worth of deals in acquisitions?
I just did a deal that was 20 times more than that.
20 times. I said 5 million, so what's 5 million times 20? Y'all see why he's shining.
So I would say it like this, right? When people start in the business, the 2 things is fame and money for everybody, right?
Absolutely.
But once you get to a space where you can sell your catalog, that's the biggest check you're going to get in your career.
Absolutely.
So it's like you work all these years, you make a lot of money, you get a lot of fame, but once you get to a space where you're able to have a catalog to sell, that's going to be the biggest check you get at one time, period, in your career.
Absolutely. And that's a wire, not a check, right?
No, that's a wire.
Oh, that's
Straight
why.
to your account.
Ain't no check. But that's gonna sit there for 366 days before they
Yes,
clear it.
yes.
Right.
So it's like at certain times in the business, the real estate market high, you go up, everything has up and down. Right now, catalogs is the hottest thing in the business. So that's why you think about all the hedge funds, everybody getting into the catalog acquisition space.
And they paying big money for it.
Yes.
I remember us. We were in Miami a couple years ago, and you introduced me to a gentleman who owns a catalog acquisition. I think his name was
Sound royalties.
Sound Royalties. Yeah.
Alex Heike.
Yep.
Yep.
You introduced me to this gentleman, billionaire guy,
Yes.
and he brought the gentleman to the studio, and you could tell the gentleman wasn't like a big studio individual, but he was interested in them catalogs.
Absolutely.
Now, think about the company you keep when you sit in studios with billionaires because of what you do. That's not a normal thing, because it's quite a few billionaires, but it's not quite a few that we got access to.
Right.
He brought him to us. Cersei brought him to us. And that's when I started calling him Big Billion Cersei. He bringing billionaires to the table.
Well, one more thing I want to say too, a lot of time when I talk to clients, in the music business, people always say, we work so hard as black people, and then we sell our music off to the white people and the Jews, which is nothing wrong with that, right? But then, the new fund that I just got brought on with is a company called Harborview Equity Partners, which is owned by Sharice Clark Soares. It's the biggest fund in the industry right now, and it's a black female. So a lot of time when people say we do our music and we sell off to the white and the Jews, well, this is a black lady now.
So if you want to do some selling, we got some color in the field.
We
now.
got the biggest fund in the industry.
Right, biggest fund in the industry. So think about this. I want to introduce this because this is something people gonna sell you on all the other parts of the industry. But what we do is we find areas where you can still make revenue. And mind you, all those other fields are great. You're going to shine, you're going to look good, you're going to party, you're going to pop bottles. But this one right here, the man said this is the biggest check you're going to get at one time.
Absolutely. This is the end game. When they say when you start something, figure out what your end game is. This is the end game in the music business, being able to sell your catalog.
See what I'm saying? This is the end game. So make sure when you start something, you have an end game. When my sister, the fashion doctor / therapist, came with the flyness, her end game when she started was to help her community. Yep. She's doing it right now. I'm sure there's another twist and turn, but when she started, she had an end game. When I got in the industry, I have an end game. It might be catalog acquisition.
Great move. That's a great move.
Cersei had the saying, a power move. So I might be switching my end game.
Yes.
In closing, Cersei, what word of encouragement, or a gem that you want to leave right here for the people here that's joining us? I thank everybody for coming out, and then all those in the TV land. What words would you leave them as you depart?
I would say just in anything you do, build a great team, be consistent, and trust the process.
One thing about the process, it's going to give you some ups and some downs. You're going to have to tap into what was that thing you had? The positive neural network. I wish we knew about positive neural network. Because, boy, we probably would have waves in the high top right now still if we knew about that back in the day.
Yes.
But make sure you tap into that. That's key. Make sure you go through and rewatch this to the beginning when my sister gave us the exercise that we did. We're going to continue to do more of that. But make sure you put that in your repertoire, because that right there, if we had that back in the day, instead of us stressing on how we was going to figure out this and figure out that, right, we could have thought better.
Absolutely.
We could have had a better game plan. But what we was doing, we was making decisions under stress instead of getting ourselves. You never want to make a decision emotionally, a business decision emotionally, because what it does is it takes away the thought process of what all of your options are, because you're going to see the option that's going to get you out the fastest that may not be the smartest. All right. So, Sirs, man, I want to thank you for getting on the plane, bro. I know you don't do these things.
I was going to say thank you. This is my first, y'all. This is my first time doing a live interview.
Hey, man.
I've been asked for 20 years to do them, and I always say no. I couldn't tell C no.
Man, I appreciate that, man. Just like Rico couldn't tell him no and write the hit record for Usher. Now, y'all remember when Cersei doing something crazy? He on Oprah and all these other people. He started with C note, all right? He started right here. So when he doing his big things, and I asked him to come back, he better not try to charge me because he did his first one right here. So listen, you always got to remember, very few people will consider the journey. They will only see the outcome. So make sure in all of your journey, your ups and downs, you're enjoying the view as you're going. And remember, if there are things that you want to do, a woman told me this, and this as we close, I was sitting in the airport, and she said, this was an older white lady in her 70s and 80s. An older white woman said to me, young man, she sat next to me. I looked real thuggish, so I was shocked that she even sat next to me. You know what I'm saying? She said, young man, I got this old, and if I can tell you anything you want to do, try it, because you don't want to get my age and live with regret of what could have. He said, I would rather for you to try it and fail than to not try it at all, because you will become my age thinking about all of the things that you should have tried, right, but you were too scared to fail. And in closing, in everything you do, no matter how old you are, no matter when if you think it's too late to start, one thing about a dream, we all have them, but they never expire, all right?
Yes, sir.
Appreciate y'all for tuning in. Y'all be blessed, and we'll see you next month.